Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All of our guests today on this Monday, including Rick Ball standing by. Sponsored by Bassan Motors. Getting to your destination starts with us. At Bassan, find the best deals, largest selection, and best financing. Visit Bassan Motors, BASANTmotors.com. After 10 years calling Calgary Flames games, can't believe it's been 10 years.
Oh, boy.
Rick Ball is headed to handle the Chicago Blackhawks games, I believe on the Chicago Sports Network. Rick is from Kelowna, previously the voice of the Canucks and Lions on 1040 Radio, where we understand he was hired by Rick Dhaliwal. Oh. Rick, thanks for doing this, sir. Appreciate you joining us. Can you tell us, and first, congratulations. Couldn't be happier for you.
Thank you.
But is this true? Did you get hired by Dhaliwal? And if so, how did you turn your career around?
This story has become a regular fixture on the show. Letterman's top 10 list. I mean, every day you're telling this story.
Do it again.
Yeah, he hired me. So I gone from Kelowna. I went to Victoria after doing the Kelowna Rockets for 5 years, and that was an unbelievable time. I got a really nice note from Bruce Hamilton when the news came out about Chicago. I loved it there. But after 5 years of riding the bus around the Western Hockey League, a couple of years doing junior A games before that, I'm like, I just can't climb on that bus anymore. So I had an offer to go to Victoria, so went there. And like right after I got there, I got some Canuck games on TV, filling in for Huey. And Rick Dhaliwal started calling me about this new all-sports radio station that was on the air, and would I be interested in coming over? And after 6 months and 916 phone calls from Rick, I finally said, all right, leave me alone, I'm coming. So
there you go.
That's how it all got started.
Okay, well, keep in mind that the next time you're on this show, we'll ask you to tell that story again. So
I'll have it, it's mastered by now. So
okay.
Do it in my sleep.
I can't believe it. I remember your going away party at the Kingston, Vancouver to Calgary. It's been 10 years with the Flames. How did the move to Chicago come about, Rick?
It was really the last month, maybe 5 weeks now, that it all came together. So this was the last season of the Flames contract with Sportsnet and vice versa for the regional games. So, and my deal was synced up to that. So, but they signed a new 11-year deal, Sportsnet and the Flames, for the regional games. And Sportsnet said, we want you back, and everything looked like it was going to be great. And I had every intention of staying here in Calgary. I love it here. I've told you guys this before. It was always the only other city, I said for years, even before an opportunity ever came up to come here, that Calgary was the only other Canadian city I'd ever want to go to other than Vancouver. And of course, that opportunity comes. Here I am 10 years later. Well, what wound up happening, my contract's up. I don't have a new deal yet, even though we'd sort of started talking. And the Blackhawks reached out to me, like I said, a little over a month ago, and said, we're thinking of, we've started our own network along with the White Sox and the Bulls, and we want to change a few things. Would you be interested? And went from a phone call with the team president on a Friday to being in Chicago, meeting with the team and Danny Wirtz, the owner. Had a great dinner and then a couple more meetings, and I flew home. And by the time I got back, they had an offer in my agent's inbox. So it was that fast, and it was they were so generous. The opportunity is great. Original Six team in a market of 10 million people, and they got a superstar centerpiece in terms of Connor Bedard, and Darren Pang is a terrific analyst to get a chance to work with him. So all those things came together, and as much as I love it here, this can be the hardest thing is leaving Calgary. It has become home for me, but the opportunity too good to say no to.
Yeah, it's funny, Rick. You say that. I remember working in Red Deer, and I always felt, I said to myself, the only other Canadian city I'd work in is Calgary. There's just something about it that spoke to me. You touched on it there. How hard is it to leave Calgary?
That's the hardest part, right? Like professionally, it makes a lot of sense in so many ways. Chicago's a terrific city. I've always loved it there. I love Gibson's. I love Rush Street. I love the Magnificent Mile. I love Jim Cornelison. I've been learning Chelsea Dagger on the piano for the last 2 weeks. It's a great place to visit, and I can't wait to get there and live and work. But Calgary's become home. I mean, after 10 years, we've got a ton of friends here. The Flames have been outstanding to work with. I work with some unbelievable people who've also become really good friends, Kelly Rudy and Ryan Leslie, and the entire crew behind the scenes. So that's going to be the toughest part for sure. And, I'm at a stage in my life where probably if it didn't happen now, it's not going to happen only because, if I signed a 5-year deal with Calgary, just hypothetically speaking, am I going to want to, leave at that age and move to a whole new city and a whole new country? Probably not. So the timing just happened to be perfect, but leaving Calgary is going to be the toughest part of this whole thing.
Rick, one of the disappointments for me was you weren't getting enough national calls in Canada. And Hockey Night Canada on Saturdays, there were some people ahead of you, which really was mind-boggling. But is any part of your future, when you get to Chicago, obviously the Blackhawks are going to be the focus, but national USA down the road for you?
That's a possibility. I hope so, Rick. It's, they love the fact that Darren Pang, who's the color analyst with the Hawks TV, does national games. They think it looks great on their broadcast to have a guy doing that. And they told me the same thing in terms of me coming down there. So if the opportunity comes, I did some work for TNT in the playoffs last season. So hopefully there'll be an opportunity to pick up some games nationally as well. I'm doing a lot of Chicago games. I think it's 70 games and a couple of preseason games. There's not a ton of time, but if I can squeeze some national work in there, I'd love to do it. And, I would do 15 or so national games every year with Sportsnet 2 on top of the regional package. And if the Flames were in the playoffs, and a handful of times, even when they weren't, I got some playoff work as well. So I'm used to doing that. It keeps you busy. It's a lot of work, but I'm not afraid to work. So hopefully, Rick, to get back to your question, if there's a chance to do it, I'm definitely on that for sure.
But was ever I know you got the call, and you say out of the blue from Chicago, but did you ever think about moving to the U.S.? Was that ever, you ever thought of that in the past?
Yeah. I've never told this publicly before. It doesn't matter. It's not a big issue. But after my first year in Calgary, I got a call from an American team asking me to come. It would have been an unbelievable opportunity. I'm not going to say who, but I just signed a long-term deal with Sportsnet and committed to coming to Calgary to cover the Flames, and it wouldn't have been right just to walk away after a year. But there was occasionally there were feelers to possibly if I'd be interested in something. Never got serious enough that led to anything, and it was never right because I was always in a contract, and I believe if somebody commits to you, you gotta on the other end of that equation live up to your commitment. So the timing here was perfect, right? But the real serious opportunity I had was after year one. I was sitting in Detroit. I was doing Detroit and Tampa in the first round of the playoffs that year. That's one of the series I got to do that didn't involve the Flames, and my phone rings, number I didn't recognize, and it was somebody from another team saying, "Hey, we'd love you to come. Are you interested?" And I'm like, well, let me think about it, and it just never quite. I wasn't able to make it work, and I didn't feel like it would be right to break a contract that I just signed.
Dollywall would have left in a second.
Two seconds. 2 seconds.
I'm out of here. No loyalty whatsoever.
2 seconds.
Yeah, we all have our own code of ethics, and Rick can speak for himself.
Hey, Rick, we hear about the Blackhawks possibly being interested in Jake Gensel, and maybe they're tired of the losing ways, which has been the case the last couple of years. What do you see in the future for Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks?
I think the future's bright. Gensel, they have a ton of cap space. I think it's $35 million. They have a massive amount of draft capital, right? They have 6 picks in the first 3 rounds this year and 5 next year, if I'm not mistaken, including number 2 overall this year. So, they're in a great position to add prospects through the draft and or use some of those picks to trade for guys that you can get now who are playing in the NHL, and then enough space with the cap to sign free agents. So I think the turnaround can happen fairly quickly, right? I like a lot of their pieces. Korchinski's a great young defenseman. Vlasic, I think, is terrific. Connor Bedard is outstanding. And, when you've got some of those pieces in place, if their goaltending is steady, you can turn around faster, I think, than people think. But you have to be smart about it. You don't want to sacrifice the future because for the present too quickly, because this team is definitely on an upward trajectory, but it's not going to be a cup contender this year. So you still have to work the plan. I don't think you want to rush it along too quickly. And my feeling on Kyle Davidson is he's done an unbelievable job putting the team in a position to do that the right way, right? That's what you want to do is accumulate draft picks and give yourself cap space, and they've got a lot of both.
You're so in love with that Norm Macdonald print behind you, you decided to wear a shirt that goes with it
That's
today.
Why I never thought about that. Yeah, Sir Tommy Bahamas. I mean, fine fashion, right?
Perfect.
Very nice.
Perfect.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
We all miss Norman, and people in Calgary and Vancouver are gonna miss you, Rick. There you go.
I showed you this last time. Yeah.
Very nice.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
It's been an unbelievable 10 years. I said this the other day. I was on the Sportsnet radio station here on Friday. I said, if I had stayed here until the day I retired, I would have been a happy man. And I mean that sincerely. It's a great city. The people are outstanding. But sometimes things come along you just can't say no to. I mean, it wasn't a plan. It kind of happened in very short order. And I'm really excited to be going to Chicago on multiple different levels. I can't wait to get going.
Better chance of running into the real Phil Simms in Chicago as well. That's an inside joke. I didn't mean to go there.
Comes up every time, too.
Oh, yeah. We're great at rehashing, Rick.
Yeah.
Thanks for this.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. All the best, my friend. Congratulations again.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Great talking to you.
You
Cheers.
bet.